G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the last and final of the brand new Super Battle Road stages for the Savior category. So the Savior category has the Tech Teen / Ultimate Gohan as its leader and has a pretty solid team in terms of options and free-to-play options. Although it does appear to link, at least from what I've seen, a little bit strangely. It's got kind of like strange linking options as the units don't really link too well together. But overall it's a pretty strong category. In terms of free-to-play units, we're going to be using the physical Goku. The physical Goku from the download celebration, the one that did his training, so that he can get to Planet Namek. We've got double Team Gohan leads. Clearly, obviously the best Saviours category lead, because I think he's the only Saviours category lead. But yeah, a very good unit. Obviously has a guard against all types, greatly stacks attack and defense, a unit that's generally designed to tank. So very good unit overall, and the super duper solid lead for the category. We then have the physical Goku, obviously a very good unit. We have the SS4 Vegeta after his EZA, also a very good unit. And we have the Int Gotenks, a super solid unit, obviously much better when he transforms, provides a lot of utility overall, and just yeah, really good, super solid option there. Very impressive unit, a unit that brings a lot of utility to the table with his stunning. Obviously if the fights go too long, generally we can obviously transform him, but for the most part these fights aren't too bad. They're quite tough, they hit quite hard. I think it's probably the hardest hitting SBR or ESBR, sorry, SBR, but yeah, it's definitely hits quite hard. I think that's obviously because of the Gohan being the only lead and being one of the best defensive units in the game. But overall the category is still quite strong. We have Majube, and we are also going to be using the Tech Paikuhan, the one that obviously recently got his EZA area, and we'll be using them as units. And yeah, overall the team's decent. Obviously with Mr. Gohan as your main front tanking unit, you don't really struggle too much in terms of having a tanky unit. Obviously Gohan's just pretty DAC in that way. He's pretty buff, so you shouldn't really struggle too much or be searching for a tanky unit to take damage and everything. You should be quite fine on that front. So your main design with your other unit should be to get as much damage as possible. I think that'll obviously be the best point of call. So try and go for units that give you the best damage possible. Obviously, we can use the AGL SS4 Vegeta, which means we can use the Strength SS4 Vegeta as well. But obviously we're trying not to use the summonable LRs in any way, shape or form. But that is a very powerful unit that you can use for the category. There are a lot of options for the category in general. The Tech Oob unit from the Battlefield shop's a good option. The Tech Hercule's a good option. The Int Hercule is a very good option as well. So those are all really solid units that are great defensively and provide a ton of utility. Both Hercule stun, Oob lowers attack and defense. Oob also brings his healing ability as well. The Hercule unit, obviously just a super duper powerful unit. You can use the Hercule and Boo unit as well, also super duper powerful, very solid, great free to play option. They have the ability to lower attack and defense, they have damage reduction, they have their transformation and their restoration of health. So yeah, just, you know, a super solid options for the team. Hercules are obviously a pretty interesting choice, but the Tech Hercule with his EZA, the Int Hercule is still a very exceptional defensive unit. So yeah, just some really good options for the team overall. and not really a team that struggles for choice, but don't really aid in their linking. Again, maybe probably bringing the free-to-play Boo and Hercule is a good bet, because they do bring some support, and that support at least brings some key with it, which will maybe help the team link together quite well. But it isn't, like I say, a necessity. As you can see, this team's linking okay. We're managing to obviously get the orbs. But yeah, you're gonna kind of struggle for links. Linking is just something that seems to be quite difficult with this team. I think obviously because its pairing partners or its units are a bit all over the place, it is a little bit difficult. But yeah, it's going to be entirely up to how you build the team and how you go for that. Physical SS3 Go tanks is also an option. Obviously links pretty well with the int Go tanks, so that's at least something you can use. So there are some really good pairings out there. It's just going to depend on what you have dupes in and how you want to construct the team. But yeah, overall we didn't really have that many issues. I think we did pretty well. You are going to, with this team build, if you're using it, you are going to need to use items. Like I said, they do tend to hit a little bit hard. So yeah, you're definitely going to need to use items. In this stage, we try to focus down the Freezer. No real reason why. Generally speaking, the Freezer is just going to give us some problems. We can also focus down King Cold, but we don't really have like the greatest source of damage against him. And yeah, he's strong against our int Go tanks, but int Go tanks does have his stun, so we do have some reliability there. The nice thing about the free-to-play physical Goku is he does obviously bring with him his heal, so his healing ability is pretty solid. Obviously a full heal when we get below 30% health, it does tend to help once or twice. You know, it's a solid enough skill. It's not like it's going to be proccing every turn, but it does, you know, even if it only activates once, it still saves you an item, at least a healing item. So it's still a pretty good option to have. But yeah, you know, here we're just kind of working between the two of them. Frieza, obviously almost dead. King Cold, almost dead. We're trying not to get our Dokkan skill. We do want to try and save it for the final round. The final round is against a single enemy, so the Dokkan ability or the Dokkan attack is just not as effective as it would be, because obviously when you're fighting one enemy, using the Dokkan attack isn't as effective as when you're fighting multiple enemies, because the Dokkan attack automatically causes an AoE attack, which would help quite a bit. But since, you know, we're not fighting against multiple units, the AoE effect's not really that useful. So yeah, it is, I mean, a bit of a problem, but at the end of the day, it's not really the biggest issue. It's more just a bit unfortunate that the Dokkan attack isn't as useful in this stage as it would be in other stages. But yeah, we've obviously got Gotenks doing some really good work. Doesn't get the additional, unfortunately, which means he's not going to be able to stun up Frieza or do some extra damage, which also would have been nice. But we're still in a very strong position overall, and I don't really see us getting the Dokkan attack this round. We're just going to make sure that we choose, you know, we're just going to make sure that we choose some orbs that aren't the same color. Remember, if you're trying to avoid filling up the Dokkan meter, you want to avoid picking orbs of the same color, or rainbow orbs, as those traditionally fill up the bar a lot more than if you are, you know, trying not to. We obviously took a super from Frieza as designed. You know, you always have to take one super just before you're about to end the round, just so the game can remind you that you do still have a chance of losing. But Vegeta gets a crit, and we manage to finish up the round, and we move into the final round against the SS4, against the Omega Shenron, and we'll be able to take him on with quite a few items. We're using the Fly Icarus just for the additional 10% attack and defense whenever we need it. It's not really like something we absolutely need, but it is one of those small abilities that does help quite a bit. But yeah, so we're obviously fighting the Omega Shenron. We're going to pretty much just focus on stun locking him as best we can. We'll utilize the Gohan Teen transformation at a certain point just to have the additional stunning ability. Plus we'll have the Super Saiyan Gotenk stunning ability. We'll use the Oob attack lowering alongside the Paikuhan attack lowering to also help control him as well. And all of those things together should give us a pretty good shot at beating him. Obviously we'll use items to set up all of the rotations to get Gotenks to transform. And we'll get some good damage in with the Dokkan attack as well. The SS4 AGL Vegeta should be there for some good damage, as well as obviously the Tech Gohans once they manage to build up their defense and their attack quite a bit. These additional attacks do help out. Obviously our team is pretty tech heavy, so we are going to, obviously just need some crits and things like that to help speed up the process. But if we do have some good attack stats, we'll be able to just chunk down the Omega Shenron a little bit faster. You want to try and have some items set up for this period, because obviously he hits pretty hard. He is, of course, one boss or a single enemy, and as you guys know, in the Super Battle Road, if you are fighting one enemy, you pretty much get a much harder experience than if you are fighting multiple enemies, or at least that one enemy is a lot tougher individually than any of the separate 5 enemies would be. They all, think of it like they share a health pool, so if there's 5 enemies, each of them will have 4 million health, whereas if you have one enemy, he'll have 20 million health. And in terms of attack stats and that, 5 enemies, they'll hit 200k each, just as an example, whereas a single enemy might hit 450k. So yeah, there's a couple things like that, just to be aware of. But like I said, overall we should be fine. We do have the ability to stun lock him. We do have a decent level of control in terms of the attack lowering, the defense lowering, all those sort of things. We have multiple stuns that should be able to proc, so overall I don't see us having massive issues, but there is a chance we could lose, just if we get unlucky or anything like that happens. But yeah, otherwise overall I'm pretty happy with just how we are performing. I think we're pretty solid. We're definitely going to get the win. I don't think there's anything realistically standing in our way too much, so for me, quite happy with what's going on. And yeah, just going to obviously get our stuns, make sure that we keep control of the fight. We get our stun here, and if you keep him stun locked, generally speaking, you are quite fine. Obviously having the Gohan units stun lock him as well lets them stack their attack and defense a little bit more, which obviously keeps them quite safe if you do manage to stun lock with them. That being said, I honestly don't really have too many issues with this fight. Single unit fights generally feel a lot easier, and when you have units like Paikuhan, when you have units like Oob, who can also attack lower the enemy, that obviously does help out quite a lot. Just prevents them from doing a tremendous amount of damage or anything like that, which is quite important. Obviously the physical Goku, he helps quite a bit, just being a good source of damage, in terms of his attack damage, obviously having the type advantage as well, and beyond that, we also he's pretty good defensively, obviously stacking that attack and defense to a very decent point, and as I mentioned before, his heal will come in handy. Of course, we're gonna now transform Gohan. We've run out of items at this point, so I think transforming Gohan is a pretty obvious and solid option, just overall. He's going to do a lot of work, a lot more attack damage and things like that. We'll have his stun as well, which will help us quite a bit. We're going to also transform the other one, just because that'll help us get his attack as well, because, you know, as you can see, he requires 4 orbs right now, and if we change him, he'll transform and he will require 3 orbs. So yeah, that's why we're going to transform him. Originally I was just going to let this one stack a bit more, because this one is my one, so he's 55%, so he's not necessarily as strong as the other Gohan, but he should still be relatively fine, at least in this form, and we should be able to get the stun off long before we end up taking damage on that Gohan. So yeah, you know, everything should be fine. Gohan here has a pretty good chance at getting the stun. Gotenks has a good chance at getting the stun, but yeah, Gotenks will finish him off anyway, and then we're all good to go. So yeah, that was it. Pretty straightforward. Let me know what you guys think. How did you find the stage? Did you find it tough? Did you find it easy? What team did you use? What units did you use? And how did they perform? But that's going to be it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care. And bye.